G'day and welcome again to a Storywise video blog. In the last one, I told the story of the rabbi and how he always had a story for the moment. It didn't really tell us how you might go about doing that, but hopefully it's enough to inspire you to think that it's possible. Today I want to tell a little story about a time when I felt a little bit like the rabbi. And I was working at one of the Shire councils, and they have a youth council, and the youth officer asked me to come in and facilitate the new youth council session, or series of sessions where they were looking at what they wanted to do for the year. The youth council had an age range of 12 to about 25, so a huge age range. So I did the first session and we worked on values, and then in the second session they were working out what plans they wanted to do for the year. And they were sitting around, and I'd done some previous work with young people, and I knew the depth of struggle that they had around issues like bullying. And bullying came up again and was an area that they really wanted to focus on. But at one point, one of the young people just kind of almost threw his hands up in the air and said, "What's the point? You know, we're not going to make a drop of difference. We won't be able to affect like anybody." And I immediately thought of this story, and I looked at Jo, the youth worker, and said, "Can I tell a story?" Because I wasn't confident enough then. And she said, "Sure." So I said, "I'm going to tell this story and hopefully it'll help you understand." So there was a beach, and it was completely covered in starfish that had all thrown up from the ocean, and they'd been beached and they were dying. And there were people up behind the sea wall, they're looking and they're wondering and they're sort of nudging each other and they're talking about it. And down on the beach there was a young woman, and she was walking along. Well, she wasn't walking very far because she was just bending down and picking up starfish and throwing them back into the ocean, throwing as hard as she could to get them as far out so they wouldn't be beached back in again. And the people are looking at her, and they're sort of laughing and going, what's she doing? What's the point? And then this man went down, and he sort of sauntered up to her and said, "Oh, what are you doing there?" She said, "I'm throwing the starfish back, so hopefully they can live." And he said, what's the point of that? Have you looked up? Do you see how many starfish there are on this beach? And he said, "You can't possibly make a difference here." And she looked at him, and she bent down and picked up a starfish, and she threw it as hard as she could into the ocean. And she said, "Made a difference to that one." And the young people got it. They got it immediately, the impact that this story had, and the wherewithal to make a difference in one person's life is a difference, and that's enough. And we change this world one by one by one by one. And it was really empowering for me and brought home to me the power of stories and storytelling. In the next video, we'll talk about how you can have those stories in your, I keep wanting to say words like arsenal, but it's not a battle, in your kit, your toolkit, so that you have them at the ready like the rabbi. So stay tuned for the next Storywise video blog.